Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into the history of digital culture. And, it's a term that feels like it's almost becoming redundant. I
Okay.
mean, when practically everything, infrastructure, how we talk, how we buy things is digital, then culture pretty much is digital culture, right?
It's so true.
Yeah.
And the thing that really jumps out from the sources, I think, is just how totally pervasive it is now.
Yeah.
It's not like old cultures, defined by a village or a city or an age group.
Right.
Digital culture just blows past all of that. Borders, time zones, age, language, even religion.
Mm-hmm.
It transcends it.
Yeah, that example was wild. You see digital tech running these super advanced robot factories,
Mm-hmm.
but then like the same core ideas are showing up in a Chinese temple with robots helping teach philosophy. It's everywhere.
It really is.
Yeah.
So our mission today, I guess, is to sort of unpack that journey. It's quite a ride.
It is.
We're tracing it all the way from Cold War cybernetics, these early
Yeah.
calculating machines, then through this really unexpected phase of like counterculture idealism.
Yeah, the hippie connection.
Exactly. Right up to today, the social media, digital resistance, the whole lot.
Okay, let's unpack this. I suppose we have to start way back with the theory. The math, really, before the hardware was even a serious thought.
Yeah, absolutely. The foundation wasn't metal and wires. It was purely conceptual.
Yeah.
Alan Turing's work back in the 30s.
Right.
He basically laid the groundwork showing that one theoretical machine, a universal machine, could solve any problem if you could just break it down into steps. That was the huge leap.
And then turning that idea into actual machines, that borrowed from factories, didn't it?
Totally. Charles Babbage and his analytical machine, he was literally using punch cards. The same system Jacquard used for weaving patterns.
So right from the get-go, computing is tangled up with industrial processes, with making complex things manageable, abstract.
Mm-hmm. And that move from abstract idea to physical control, it also connects to something that seems totally different at first, thermodynamics.
Okay, so we're shifting from factories to physics. How does energy and entropy connect to information?
Well, you have Rudolf Clausius defining entropy, basically. Everything tends to run down, lose energy quality, head towards equilibrium, disorder.
Okay.
Then later, Ludwig Boltzmann connects that physical idea to missing information. The more disordered a system, the less information you have about it.
That's a fascinating way to put it. Disorder is just ignorance about the system's state.
Exactly. And that link, that deep connection between physical entropy and information, that became the bedrock for information theory. Claude Shannon's work later on.
Right.
Everything we do digitally, sending data, compressing files, streaming video, it all hinges on understanding that relationship.
So while the physicists are working out information's deep structure, you've got capitalism booming and needing ways to manage all this complexity.
Yeah, businesses needed tools, simple calculators, machines to track sales, handle the sheer volume of transactions.
But the real powerhouse, the one that links tech to control early on, wasn't just adding machines, was it? It was Hollerith's tabulator.
Oh, absolutely. The direct ancestor of IBM, built for the U.S. Census. And what it did was force this process of taking messy, unique human beings
Yeah.
and crunching them down into discrete, manageable data pieces. That's the key phrase.
That feels like a massive step, turning classification into a mechanical process. Before that, the census is pen and paper, maybe some anecdotes. Suddenly, a machine can sort, categorize, and basically define norms for millions of people.
It's the abstraction of the individual into data. And that sets the stage, philosophically, for using technology to manage society. Long before computers as we know them, and then boom, World War II.
War, the great accelerator as always, breaking codes at Bletchley Park, figuring out missile paths, the Manhattan Project.
All demanding computation on a scale never seen before. It just forced the issue, made universal computing a necessity.
And after the war, the focus shifts, doesn't it? From just calculating to controlling.
Yes, that's the birth of the cybernetic age. People like Norbert Wiener. Cybernetics is all about feedback and control systems, information flow, adjusting behavior machines, people, whole organizations.
Well, the military loved this idea.
Oh, completely. They wanted to automate defense, integrate soldiers into these vast, complex systems, which leads you to projects like Whirlwind, and then the really big one, SAGE, the air defense system.
Age. That was enormous, wasn't it?
Huge, and it needed real-time response. You couldn't wait. So they had to invent stuff on the fly. Magnetic core memory, video displays actual screens, better programming languages.
Wow.
The very architecture of how we interact with computers today, a lot of it was hammered out under the intense pressure of Cold War air defense.
Which brings up a pretty stark irony we should probably touch on. If these super responsive interactive systems came out of that Cold War paranoia for defense, how much of that DNA is still in, say, the systems running global finance today?
It's a direct lineage. Seriously. Think about high-frequency trading on Wall Street. Milliseconds matter. Fortunes are made or lost.
Right.
Those incredibly sensitive, interactive platforms, they are the direct descendants of the early warning systems built for SAGE. That demand for instant, flawless feedback. It's the same technological impulse, just shifted from missiles to money.
That's sobering. Okay, so we've got the origins, abstraction, classification, military need. But how did we get from this centralized, top-down military thing to the computer as a tool for, like, personal freedom, creativity?
The pivot point really starts around 1960 with J.C.R. Licklider. He had this idea of man-computer symbiosis.
Symbiosis, not just automation.
Exactly. Not just the computer doing stuff, but a partnership, integrating the human operator with the machine. That really pushed the need for interactive computing, for time sharing.
And that idea, the partnership, that seems to drive Douglas Engelbart's work at ARC, right?
Yeah.
Funded by ARPA.
Absolutely. Engelbart was explicitly trying to augment human intellect. He was inspired by Vannevar Bush's much earlier concept, the MEMX, this imagined device, using associative indexing.
And his lab gave us, well, pretty much everything we use now.
Yeah. It's incredible, isn't it? The mouse, word processing basics, cut and paste, separate windows, hypertext. When you right-click something, you're touching Engelbart's legacy, funded by military research aiming to make people smarter operators.
But for that tech to become personal, you needed something else, a cultural shift. And the sources really point to this almost accidental thing, Silicon Valley techies being right next door to the whole San Francisco counterculture explosion.
Yeah, that acid and silicon synthesis, as it's called. It seems it provided the ideological soil needed. The counterculture was all about personal empowerment, breaking down hierarchies, ecology.
Right.
And they looked at these powerful government machines and saw not weapons, but tools. Tools for individual liberation, for self-discovery.
And the key figure here is Stuart Brand, the Whole Earth catalog.
Which on the surface was about DIY living, alternative lifestyles. But Brand was deep into whole systems thinking. It was like ecological cybernetics. And Brand saw the potential. He famously said computers coming to the people was perhaps the most heartening news since psychedelics. He's credited with coining personal computer. He basically reframed the machine's entire cultural meaning.
And it wasn't just the hippies thinking about interaction in new ways. There were artists too, right? Like John Cage.
Absolutely. Cage was playing with feedback, interaction, randomness, concepts straight out of Shannon Weiner's playbook, Information Theory. His performances, like that multimedia untitled event in '52, they kind of opened up a cultural space. They showed that multimedia and, unpredictable interaction could exist outside of military or math contexts. It made the computer imaginable for artists.
Okay, so the text there, the utopian vision is forming, and then comes the hacker. What was that original hacker ethic like?
Well, back then, at places like MIT, Stanford, it was less about breaking laws and more about this intense, almost obsessive intellectual drive, exploring the absolute limits of the technology, sacrificing sleep, social life, whatever, just to dive deep into the code, understand the machine inside and out. A pure curiosity, really.
Which inevitably gets a bit messy. We're testing security. That comes later.
Yeah, the lines blur. But philosophically, hacking starts to be seen as a form of resistance.
How so?
There's this really profound interpretation. Think about it. The computer system organizes so much of modern life, especially under capitalism. Classifies us, tracks us, manages us.
Okay.
So the hacker who disrupts that system, it's compared to Walter Benjamin's image of the revolutionary shooting a clock tower. It's a symbolic act against the relentless controlling time of the system, using the tech to push back against technological control itself.
That tension control versus resistance, it just explodes in fiction, doesn't it? Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah. William Gibson nails it with cyberspace. That idea of a consensual hallucination, this visual, navigable world of data.
Right, the Matrix before the Matrix.
Exactly. And he brings this whole Wild West vibe to it. Hackers as console cowboys, riding through digital frontiers owned by massive corporations. Books like Blade Runner, films like The Matrix, they all explore these dystopias built on corporate power and information networks.
Okay, let's fast forward to now. Web 2.0. Wikipedia, YouTube, podcasts like this one. This is where digital culture really meshes with everyday life, commerce, identity.
And a neat way to grasp this shift is Chris Anderson's idea, the long tail.
Explain that.
Okay, so traditional shops have limited shelf space. They need big hits to make money.
Right, the blockbusters.
But digital platforms, iTunes, Netflix, Amazon, have unlimited virtual shelf space. So they don't need just hits. They can profit from selling tiny amounts of millions of niche things.
The long tail of niche interests.
Exactly, it flips the model. Suddenly, catering to countless specific tastes is viable. And that gives the consumer way more power, not just over what they consume, but what they can create and share.
And that feeds into the ubiquity we talked about at the start. It's just everywhere now. Paying with your phone, GPS, smart homes.
It's constant, especially in the developed world. And the sources make a crucial point here. Because it's so seamless, so ever-present, it starts to feel like digital nature.
Digital nature.
Yeah, we just operate within it. We don't even question it most of the time.
Yeah.
And that makes us forget the backstory. The complex, messy, political, human effort, the Cold War money, the industrial thinking, the counterculture dreams that actually built this invisible environment. We lose sight of how it got made.
So bringing it all together then, these layers, Cold War tech, industrial abstraction, counterculture idealism, we're basically using tools designed for one thing to do something completely different.
If we connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're living inside these historical ironies all the time. We talk about Sage in finance. The fact that the global financial system, moving trillions in milliseconds, runs on the descendants of tech designed to stop nuclear war. That's kind of staggering when you stop and think about it. The Cold War paranoia is literally wired into the market.
Wow. Okay, so that leads us to a final thought, something provocative maybe. We see tech companies like Apple with its iLife suite, marketing tools for creating masterpieces starring you. Everyone gets to be a creator, instantly famous online, focused on self-expression. So the question is, are these amazing high-tech tools finally delivering on that radical utopian promise from the 60s, real liberation? Or is it just capitalism finding the ultimate way to sell those ideals back to us, the perfect consumption of the dream of liberation? Maybe something to chew on next time you post that perfect selfie.